Hey everybody, welcome to Discard and Draw. I'm Steel, this is my brother Tank, and today we're talking about Above and Below. This is a great game. Tank, what kind of a game is this?
This is a worker. It's not a worker placement because you don't actually place your workers on anything.
Right.
But it's a Euro style game with a little bit of storytelling in it.
I love storytelling. Let's open it up and take a look.
All right. So this is a basic setup for 2 players, and this game plays up to 4 people. And now there's a lot. You see, there's a lot going on here. The game actually does take up quite a bit of table space, which is not necessarily a bad thing unless you have a really small space to play in, and then you're going to be a little crowded because as you play, you're going to be adding more cards onto your village here, and it can get pretty substantially long. So you're going to end up with using a lot of table space in this game. There's a couple of different building piles that you're going to be putting out for play during the game. There's this top row here and these are not, you don't have to put them in a specific order on the table. This is just how we set it up. Top row are cards with a little star on them, and you're going to use these same 6 cards every single game. They're always going to be available. This next row are cards with a little key symbol in them, and those ones there's going to be 4 random ones of those out every game, and there's a small deck of them. I think it's about 10 or so of these cards, and you're just going to shuffle it up and pull out 4 of them, 4 random ones, and those are going to be your 4 for the whole game. You're not going to replenish these. And then these 2 are drawn from piles, and you're going to keep replenishing these as you play the game, as you buy them. So those are the buildings that you're going to be playing with. And most of these buildings here are going to be built above in your village, in your main village. These cards here are built below because in this game, you're building a village, but you've discovered that there's a network of caverns underneath your village, and you get to go explore those. And when you explore a cavern, after it's explored, you can build buildings in those caverns. So that's what these buildings are. The rest of these are all built in your village above the caverns. So that's the above and below.
That makes sense.
So we're not going to go over all the rules in this game because not that there's a lot, but
they're pretty detailed.
There's a lot of detail, and if we do that, the video is going to be super long, and we're really just more about
an overall review,
giving you a general idea of how the game is played and stuff like that. So we're going to go over some basic concepts, and if you really want detailed rules, there's a lot of videos on the internet that you can watch that'll more easily teach you how to actually play the game. But we want to give you a feel of how the game plays, is what we're after. So essentially what you're doing is, like I said, you start with a village. You're building a village. You start with one building which has 3 beds in it. And you use beds in this game to basically, after you use your workers, the beds make them available again the next round. You're going to start with 3 workers. And everyone starts with the exact same workers. There's different pictures on each of the start tiles. So like, we have technically the same guy because they have the same stats or whatever you want to call it up here, but the pictures are different. So there's 4 different pictures for you to pick from when you're picking your start people, or you can do it randomly. The backs are all identical, so you could, if you wanted to, shuffle them up and deal them out randomly. If you fight over who wants who, if everyone wants the same person, just make it random. But everyone's going to start with essentially the same workers. You're going to have one that you're going to see these 2 dice symbols with lanterns underneath them. And the numbers are the same on all of them, on all the start ones. And then one with a feather and a dice, and one with a hammer and a dice. And those symbols tell you what you can do with those workers. Most of the actions that you can take on your turn can be performed by any villager. There's 2 exceptions to this rule. Building and recruiting, and those 2 can only be performed by the villagers that have the required icons on them. Recruiting is done by the villagers with the quill symbol on them. Building is done only by the villagers with the hammer symbol on them. So at the beginning of the game, you start with one of each of those. So you can use those to recruit, and recruiting comes from this setup here. These are randomly placed villagers. At the beginning of the game, you're going to put 5 villagers out, and the prices are listed underneath them. And like I said, it's random. You draw from this stack here of, you can see there's quite a few villager tiles here to pick from. You're going to shuffle this up, deal out 5 random ones. And as you buy them, at the end of the round, they would all slide down and become cheaper, and you draw new villagers to replace them. There is a few special villagers you can get, but those are not ones you would buy. You would get them during the course of the game if you completed special events, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But essentially what you're doing is you're using your villagers to do actions. There's a couple different actions. You can have them just work for money. You can have them recruit. Like I said, you can have them build buildings, which the buildings all have the cost in the upper left corner. Each of them costs a certain amount of gold. There's not this game doesn't have like buildings that cost things other than gold. Everything's always just gold. So everyone starts with 7 coins at least. Whoever's first, the first player starts with less gold than everyone else because they have the advantage, that first pick of everything basically. So if you're playing a 2-player game, the person going second is going to get 1 extra coin. In more than 2-player game, it's the first player doesn't get any extra, and then like the next 2 people get extra money. And then in a 4-player game, only the 4th player gets an extra coin, I think it is. So there's a lot of tokens in this game, and it doesn't look like a lot right now because we didn't actually put all the tokens on the board because there's quite a few of them. We put at least a couple of each type of token, but there's more than what you're seeing right now. There's 8 resources you can collect in this game. And there's a couple ways you can collect them. Buildings will give you resources, and then exploring will give you resources.
So there are 8 different resources in the game. And there are a couple of different things you can do with those resources once you've acquired them. The first thing you can do is you can put them in the top left of your mat, up for sale for other people to buy for 3 coins.
At least 3 coins.
At least 3 coins.
You can haggle them higher if you think they really want it bad enough.
Right. Bump that price up. The other thing you can do is you can stick them on the mat here. There are 8 circles. You can stick all the resources in these circles. There's a spot for every resource. Every different resource will fit in here. You can't put like 2 fish on 2 different circles. Mm-hmm. If you have a fish on a circle, all your fish go in that circle. And what that does is that raises your income each turn. Mm-hmm. And also, however many you have in that stack gives you that many victory points. Like the first 2 circles are 1. Mm-hmm. So you get 1 victory point for each of those 2 stacks.
However many are in there.
Yeah. And then 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. Just like that.
If you can somehow manage to get 1 of each of the resources, you can get quite a few points.
Which is pretty difficult. More difficult than you would think.
Yes.
Because the first time I played, I thought it wasn't going to be that hard. But it is. I was wrong.
Well, and the game only lasts for 7 rounds.
Right.
So
which you might think is a long time. It's not.
No.
So beware.
It's really not. Not unless you manage to acquire an awful lot of people and beds.
Which is a whole other thing.
I'm going to talk a little bit about exploring now. What you can send your villagers to do, in addition to some of the other actions, is you can send them exploring the caves underneath your village. When you do that, you have to send at least 2 villagers to go exploring. You can send as many as you want, but it has to be at least 2. And you would draw a card from this deck, which you can see has some dice symbols and numbers next to them. That will go here on the rightmost section, on the lower section of your village. You will roll 1 dice, and whatever number that is, you look on the card and you look at the corresponding number to that dice roll, and that's where this comes in. This is the encounter book. This is filled full of little mini adventures almost. And you read, when you explore, your opponent will actually read the entry that you roll for you and give you a couple of decisions you have to make. And it might be something like, there's a guy here, you could try and steal from him, or you could talk to him and be his friend. And then you'd have what's called an explore cost next to it, and you'd have to reach that explore number to succeed at that. And you do that, and that's what the little lanterns on your characters are for. Those are success icons, basically. So you would roll 1 dice for each person you send exploring, and whatever number that is determines if they succeed or not and how many successes they get. If you get enough successes to pass the challenge that you're doing, you can get rewards, which could be more resources, you could get more money, you could explore more of the cave. There's lots of different things that can happen. And after all that's done, your workers are done, they've explored, they come back to your village tired. They can be injured in the course of doing that, because you can, while you're exploring, injure one of your explorers to add another success to your explore attempt. But after that's all done, as long as there was no fail text in the book, you successfully explored the cave, that card stays here, and then you can build one of the underneath buildings on top of that card, and then you've got an underground building.
Also in the game, there's what's called reputation. Everybody has reputation. And on this track right here, you track your reputation. And you continually go down. Every time you get a reputation, you go down. There's little marks here and mark it. And you get down low enough, or high enough with your reputation.
Ironically, down is up.
Right. You get more victory points for the higher reputation. Although, you can also get negative reputation, which, if you go up high enough, you can get up to -2 victory points at the end of the game.
Yep.
Not a good time.
And whoever has the highest or lowest, however you look at it, reputation, gets bonus victory points at the end of the game too.
Depending on how many players are playing.
Right. Each house you build is also worth 1 victory point for itself, in addition to any extra victory points it'll give you, which are listed on the bottom of the card at the end of the game. Some of them just give you straight up victory points, and some of them will give you victory points for having different either buildings or resources or any, people, even how many people you have. So you can get quite a few extra victory points from your buildings.
So Tank, what do you think about this game?
I really enjoy this game, and this isn't something that I would think that would be all that entertaining to me. Not that I don't like Euro games. Some Euro games I like and some I don't.
Mm-hmm.
This one is actually really fun, and it's because, despite the fact that it seems like the game goes by quickly because of how few rounds there are, it doesn't feel hectic when you're playing it.
Right.
Like, you don't feel rushed to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the exploring is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I really like going into the cave and reading hearing the story, what's going on, and making decisions and trying to, complete the explorer challenges and stuff. That's a lot of fun. This is a great way to do that, to gather resources, and it's that part is just a lot of fun. And I like getting the buildings and building my village up and collecting new workers to use and doing more exploring, and there's a lot of parts, but it all works really well together, and it's just generally a very enjoyable experience to play this game. It's almost relaxing in a way to play. You don't really feel.
You definitely don't feel rushed, like you said.
Right, you don't. Like, you feel like, okay, it's this last round. Okay, cool. We're just doing stuff. It's fun. So
I did, but it wasn't until the last round, because then I found out it was the last round. Then I was like, uh-oh. I can't do all the things I wanted to do. But that was okay.
Well, what do you think of this game?
I like it. I agree with you on the Euro games.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that are good. There's some that are not quite for me.
Right.
So to speak. But this game is a lot of fun. I do really, really, really like that book.
Mm-hmm.
The encounter book. The encounters are fun.
This is a huge selling point for this book.
Yeah.
For this game. Sorry, for this game. That book.
This book makes this game what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It makes you want to explore.
Yep.
It makes you not satisfied with just building up top.
Yep.
It makes you want to go below.
Yep.
And it's really a lot of fun. And honestly, I wanted other people to explore so I could read the book. I wanted to read the book.
That's true. That's very true.
It's just it's fun to see all the
half the
scenarios.
time when we were playing, you were like, you want to explore.
Yeah,
you
like,
want to go explore.
I'm like, I think you just should explore now. I need to read that book. But that book is.
And I like how
great.
When you build, the cards like fit together. If you can see, the picture actually fits together.
Right.
And it doesn't matter which card you pick; they all fit together.
Yeah, they all run
perfectly.
together. Yep.
It's so cool. The art is amazing, and Ryan designed the game. He did all the art for this game. He did everything himself. Wow. I mean, we've played a couple of his games, and his games are always at least at a certain level of quality. So
They're above. They're not below.
They are above. So this is definitely a keeper. This game, I highly recommend playing this game. Just for this here.
Play just for the encounter book.
That right, because without the encounter book, this would be another city building game.
It'd be another regular Euro game.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Which really.
I mean, there's a lot of resources and stuff to gather, but the book really makes it unique.
Yeah.
Really does.
Yeah.
And that really brings a new level of fun to this style of game. And I mean, the artwork is also a big selling point for me too, because I love games that have really good artwork, and this game definitely has really good artwork. He put a lot of effort and time into making and all the buildings look unique, and they look like what they do, if that makes any sense. Like, you look at what they do, and you look at the building, you go, I can see how that does that.
Right.
You know?
It's not just, this is generic building 1, generic building 2.
Right.
It's like, no, this does this.
And it makes sense.
And that's why the building is shaped the way it is, or looks the way it is.
Like, there was one of the underneath cards, I don't remember which one it was, but it like gave you it was like a potion, and where was it? Because I got it last time we played. Let me see if I can find it. It's probably toward the top. Yeah. This one, where it was like, it gives you can get ore, and it gives you a potion, and the picture is a cave that looks like a mine, which makes sense with the ore, and then like a little like hut that looks like, it could be like a little potion shop or whatever.
Right.
So it's just, he just did a great job with this game.
Everything makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Everything, and I know we always talk about this, but the pieces are really high quality too. It's nice thick cardboard.
Yeah, they're not flimsy.
No.
You don't feel like you're gonna break them if you don't handle them too well.
They're definitely a very nice sturdy cardboard. Right. And this was a Kickstarter game, so that's probably one of the reasons, because I'm sure one of the stretch goals was upgrading the pieces, the quality of the pieces.
Probably.
And he definitely, Ryan, again, he tries to put as much into a game that he makes as he can. Mm-hmm. Tries to make it as high quality as he can.
Yeah.
So, a big thumbs up for me, because this is definitely a solid game.
Yeah, honestly, the cheapest pieces are just these little cubes to track your reputation.
Which, ironically, from what I've been told, wooden cubes are not cheap to make.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's, so, you wouldn't think of it, but, that's, everything's just well done. Mm-hmm. So that's it for this episode of Discard and Draw, everybody. I'm Steel. This is my brother Tank. That was Above and Below. Like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, do what you gotta do, and we will see you in the next review.
So this is a basic setup for a 2-player game. So this is a basic setup for 2 players. This game plays 2 to 4 players, and I don't know where I was going. This is a basic setup for 2 players, and
Also,
So, Steele, what do you think of this game?
why don't I ask you?
He was like, you know what? I don't want to answer that.
So, Tank, what do you think about this game?
I really enjoyed playing this game, and it's not. I don't know.
It's not. So that's it for this episode of Discard.